In this class, we will see what is memory leakage and then some programs are related to dynamic memory management. First, let us consider a program. In this program, I am allocating memory for an integer variable by means of malloc function. So in malloc, I want to specify the size. Now I want to create memory for only one integer. So I will specify size of int. Now it will return an integer pointer. Sorry, it will return a void pointer. I am converting that into integer pointer and then storing in the pointer variable ptr. Remember, this ptr should be declared as integer. Okay, don't declare this as float or some other thing. It must be declared as integer. Then in this memory, I want to store some data. Okay, so to store the data, now I have to access star ptr because ptr is going to tell me the address. Now I want to store some data as a value in that address. So I am writing now star ptr is equal to 10. When this statement is executed, let us see what will happen. Look at this diagram. So when I execute the statement number 6, 4 bytes of memory will be allocated. Let us assume that the starting of the 4 bytes is 2000. Okay, now this 2000 will be stored in the variable ptr because we are writing statement ptr is equal to something. So whatever memory allocated, that will be stored in the variable ptr, only the starting address. Okay, then I write star ptr is equal to 10. When I write star ptr is equal to 10, first it will go to ptr. Here you have the value as 2000. You are not writing simple ptr, you are writing star ptr. So take address from here, go to that memory address. So here address is 2000, you go to the memory address 2000 and in that address you store the value 10. So here 10 will be stored after executing the line number 7. Okay, now what I am doing is, see the line number 8, this is very important. Now I am allocating memory for another integer variable. Okay, so again I am calling the function. This is, I am allocating memory for another integer. I don't want to extend in the same memory. Okay, they are different integers. I am assuming that they can be in different places. So I am allocating memory for another integer variable. So again I am calling the function malloc. So now in this I am specifying size of int. What will happen when this statement is executed? Compiler will allocate memory for another integer. Here it is 3000 up to 3003. Then it will return this address 3003 and you are storing that address in the pointer variable ptr. Now previously in ptr you have 2000. Now in the pointer variable you have stored 3000. Okay, now I am writing star ptr is equal to 20. When I write the statement, first it will go to ptr. Here I have the value as 3000. So now I have written star ptr. So I have to go to this address. When I go to the address 3000, there I will be storing the value as 20. Now let us see what is memory leakage here. Here you can see the line number 10. In line number 10, I am writing free ptr. Can anyone tell me which memory will be allocated to the garbage area?
3000.
Yeah, starting from 3000 up to 3003, that will be allocated to the garbage area. Now what happened to this 2000? I want to access this variable now. Is it possible to access this memory location now?
No, ma'am.
Why it is not? Because we are not giving any name for this memory locations. If you write int a as a variable, you can access this variable memory location at any time by using the variable name. But now I am accessing this memory only with the help of this pointer. But now this pointer is pointing to some other memory location, not this memory location. I cannot make this pointer again to point to this memory location. Okay, so now this memory location you are not going to use, and also this is not available to others also because you have allocated this memory by using dynamic memory allocation. So only you have to remove this by using free. Compiler will not delete it. You have to deallocate this memory by free. But I have used free only for this 3000, not for this 2000. So what will happen is this 3000 will be returned to the garbage area, but this 2000 up to 2003 will not be returned to garbage area, and it is not used by others also. Similarly, you are also not using it because you have changed the pointer to some other variable. So you are also not going to use this one. So this is called as memory leakage. So what is memory leakage is, try to understand this one. You have allocated space for one variable by means of dynamic memory allocation, that is this 2000. After that, you have made that pointer to point to some other variable. Then you have released the memory of this variable. You forget to release the memory of this particular memory location. But now the pointer is not pointing to this location. Even if somebody wants to use the memory, this memory cannot be allocated to them because you did not free that memory location. So this is called as memory leakage. Okay, so memory leakage is, even though the free memory is available, that is unused memory is available, it cannot be allocated to some other person because you have not released the memory properly. So to avoid this problem, always you have to deallocate the memory by using free. So if I want to avoid this problem, can anyone tell me what change I have to do in my program? Tell me the change in the line number.
Ma'am, before line number 8, we have to use free PTR.
Very good. So before line number 8, that is in line number 8, I am creating another memory and putting it in the same pointer variable. So before line number 8, I have to write free PTR. If I do that, then this memory will be returned to garbage area so that others, if they want, they can make use of this memory. Okay, so always remember, while you are writing program with dynamic memory allocation, release the memory whenever you don't want it. Don't think that I have to release the memory only at the end of the program, because here, see, even though we are releasing the memory at the end of the program, we are getting the problem because the same pointer variable we are. Now we will see how to use realloc. As I mentioned already, you cannot use realloc as a first function in your program. First, there must be some memory existing. That memory only, either you are going to increase or decrease. If nothing is existing, you can't make changes. So use realloc either after calloc or after malloc. Don't use that as a first function in your dynamic memory allocation program, right? Okay. So now here in this program, what I'm going to do is, first I will allocate memory for 10 characters. After that, I will change the memory to extend so that it can store totally 40 characters. Okay, first only 10 characters, second totally 40 characters, not extra 40 characters, totally 40 characters. So what I will be doing is, first time I want to allocate memory for 10 characters. So I'm going to call the function either malloc or calloc. Now here I have used the function malloc. In malloc, you have to pass only one argument. So what is the argument you have to pass is how much memory you want to allocate. Here I have simply given 10. It is actually a wrong convention. Actually, it will work, but don't use this. Instead of 10, if I want to allocate memory for 10 characters, can anyone tell me what I have to pass there?
10 times size of character.
Yeah, very good. So I have to write 10 multiplied by size of char, because that is the best way of writing the argument to malloc or calloc function. So write 10 multiplied by size of char. Then that will return a void pointer, typecast that to character pointer and store it in a pointer variable. Here you can see this str should be declared as a character pointer variable. Don't declare as integer pointer or void pointer. So I am declaring char star str, then whatever address is written here, that I am storing in the pointer variable str. After that, now memory will be allocated. In that memory, I want to store hello. Okay, remember, you can't simply write this str is equal to hello. Strings you cannot copy like that. Assignment of string is not possible. You have to use only the built-in function strcpy for copying the strings. Okay, now in the memory location allocated, I want to store hello. So I am going to use the function strcpy. I am going to pass two arguments for this function. The first argument is the destination string, and the second argument is the source string. Here I want to copy hello. Where you want to copy hello, that you have to specify here in this memory location pointed by str. So if you do this, hello will be copied to the memory location pointed by the pointer str. Finally, I am going to print it. So I'm using the printf statement %s, str to extend the memory. To extend the memory, now I am going to use the function realloc. Okay, so you call the function realloc. Now you need to pass two arguments. The first argument is what is a pointer allocated to the memory previously in your malloc function. So here in malloc function, the pointer allocated is str. That you specify as a first argument. And the second argument is what is the current new size you want. Okay, totally now I want 40 bytes. So specify, actually don't specify 40, specify 40 multiplied by size of char. Then typecast the pointer to character pointer, store it in the same pointer variable str. Okay, so now I am storing in the same pointer variable str in the memory location. Now I am going to copy the string as hello, welcome to C. Now in the memory location, I am going to copy hello, welcome to C. So I am going to call the function strcpy, pass two arguments. First argument is the destination and the second argument is source. The source string is nothing but hello, welcome to C. Where I want to add the string is in the memory pointed by str. Then finally print it. Now you will be getting hello, welcome to C. In this, you have used some memory locations out of 40 bytes. So whatever memory locations you have used, they will contain the message you have given. The remaining memory locations will again contain garbage value only, right? So now remember, after line number 11, don't close your program because now you have done dynamic memory allocation. So don't forget to free the memory. So I have to free the memory now. I'm going to call the function free. You have to specify the pointer. The pointer we have used is str. So when you call this free str, whatever memory is pointed by the pointer str, now we have totally 40 bytes pointed by the pointer str. All the 40 bytes of memory will be put in the garbage area so that if any user wants later, they can use the memory. Okay, so this is a good way of writing a dynamic memory allocation. Let us see one program to find the maximum number in an array using dynamic memory allocation. Maybe first I have to allocate memory for an array using dynamic memory allocation. That is my first task. After that, after allocating the memory, I have to find what is the maximum number in the memory. Okay, so in this, they have mentioned that you have to go for dynamic memory allocation. So definitely your program must have functions malloc and free or calloc and free minimum. Okay, you can go for realloc if required, but in this program it is not required. So either use malloc and free in your program or calloc and free in your program. So now let us see the steps. What are the steps you have to do? They have mentioned that you want to find maximum number in an array. They didn't mention what is the size of the array. So the first step is you try to get the size of the array from the user. Before that, let us see the header file again. Remember, in line number 2, I am writing the header file stdlib.h. Don't forget this. Okay. So first you have to get what is the size of the array from your user. So declare a variable num integer to store the size of the array. And then in line number 8 and 9, I am going to get the n value from the user. That is the number of elements from the user. So I am using scanf %d comma ampersand num. Now, if the user is typing num as 5 as given here, you can see I have given num as 5. Now I have to allocate memory for 5 integers. Okay, so now only you are going to allocate memory. You can see here we have not declared any array in this. Now only you are going to allocate the memory. What is the memory you are going to allocate? Whether it is a memory for 5 integers or 5 floating point numbers, 5 characters, that we don't know. Now let us assume that we are going to find maximum number in an array of floating point numbers. Okay, so since I am going to store floating point numbers in the memory allocated, I am going to declare a floating point pointer. So in line number 7, I have written float star ptr. Assuming that in the memory, I am going to store numbers with decimal point also. Okay, so here I have simply read how many numbers I want in the array from the user, and I have declared a pointer to the memory, but now I have to create the memory. Okay, so to allocate the memory, in this example, I am using calloc. Okay, so when I use calloc, the memory will be automatically initialized with 0. It will not have any garbage value. In calloc, you have to pass 2 arguments. So the first argument is how many blocks of memory you want to allocate. And the second argument is what is the size of each block. Okay, in this, I want to allocate memory for num elements. So first argument I am passing is num, and second is each num is having type as float. So I have to pass size of float as a second argument. And when this function is executed, it will return now a void pointer. It will totally allocate, if I type num as 5, it will allocate memory for 5 floating point numbers. Each floating point number is going to occupy 4 bytes. So it will allocate totally 5 multiplied by 4, that is 20 bytes of memory locations. Okay, and then whatever is the starting address allocated, it will return a pointer, that is void pointer, to the starting address. So you convert that pointer into floating point pointer. So I'm writing float star with typecasting. So now we have the floating point pointer in our hand. We have to store it. Where I'm going to store this value is, I'm going to store in the PTR I have created. So in line number 7, I have created a floating point pointer star PTR. What I can store in this star PTR? The starting address where you will store a block of floating point data. That is nothing but whatever is written by this CLOC function. So that I'm storing in PTR variable. Now I'm going to check whether the memory allocation is successful or not. So previously I told you, sometimes your memory allocation may not be successful. That is, if in your memory only 1000 bytes are available as free, but you are asking for 2000 bytes, compiler cannot allocate. So in that case, it will return null value to you. So you first check whether your allocation is successful or not. So for that, I am checking if PTR double equal null. So when you write PTR double equal null, it means if this is true, it means the allocation is not successful. Okay, so don't proceed further. You stop your program and come outside the program. So for that, what I am doing is, I am printing some error message to the user. Always when you write your program, if something is not successful, you display error message to the user. Then only they will understand what is the problem in your program. Okay, don't simply give exit of 0. Even though if you give exit of 0, that is correct. But show the message to the user what has gone wrong. Okay, right. So now I am printing the messages, error, memory is not allocated. After that, I am giving exit of 0. Now, if memory is allocated, it will come to this particular place. That is line number 17. Here, what I have to do is, I have allocated memory for the number of elements. Now I have to read the elements from the user and store it in the memory location. So it is similar to array of elements. We are going to read array of elements. So use a for loop always. Whenever you go to read array of elements, we are going to use for loop. How many for loops we need? Now we are going to read one array of elements only, one dimensional array only. So go for one for loop. So in the for loop, I am going to use index now for the memory locations. Remember, now we are going to access the allocated memory with the help of this pointer PTR. To access the first element in that memory, you have to use PTR plus 0. To access the second element, you have to use PTR plus 1. So PTR plus I, if you write, you can get the address of ith element in the allocated memory. Okay, so always here also you should start the for loop with I is equal to 0 only. Students, I have given I int here, but when you work in a pure C compiler, give int in the beginning of the program, in the variable declaration part. That is in line number 7, you can give int. This will not work in proper C compiler. Okay, so now I am writing int I is equal to 0, I less than num, I plus plus. Don't start with I is equal to 1 because your memory is now allocated. You are going to access it with the help of this pointer, PTR. If you put PTR plus 0, you will access the first byte of the memory allocated. Okay, so don't put I is equal to 1. This is a very important point. Now I want to use scanf function to read the value for the variable. Generally in scanf function, you will give scanf %f comma ampersand a of I. Okay, now here I am giving again scanf %f because it is a floating point number. Instead of giving ampersand a of I, now we are going to access with the help of this pointer. Okay, what is the meaning of ampersand a of I? That is nothing but address of the ith element. Okay, now you have to give the address of the ith element with the help of the pointer. If you give PTR, that is the starting address, that is address of the 0th element. PTR is equal to PTR plus 0. But I want the address of the ith element, so I have to give PTR plus I. Okay, so when you give ptr plus I, whatever data you are entering in your keyboard, that data will be stored in the address pointed by this value, and it will be available there so that you can use in later part of your program. So repeat this loop until you get value for all the integers. After that, your input is ready. Now, what is your remaining part of the program? You got the number of elements from the user. After that, you have created memory for those many elements dynamically. Then from the user, you read all the numbers one by one and stored in the allocated memory. The next step is you have to find what is the maximum number in the allocated memory. So to find the maximum number, again you have to start from the first element. You have to compare all the elements one by one to find the maximum number till you reach the end of the array. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is, let me take the first element as a maximum element. Now, how to get the first element of the array as maximum element? If you have an array called A of 10, the first element is nothing but A of 0. Okay, so that is the first element. Now I am going to get the first element only with the help of this pointer ptr. Okay, if you write ptr, it is similar to ptr plus 0. Okay, that is nothing but address of the first element in your array. But we want the value of the first element in the array. So write star ptr. So star ptr will give you the value of the first element you got from the user. According to this, 43. Okay, so store that in the variable max. So declare max as a floating point variable and store the value in the variable. Now you take the first element in the array, compare that with the remaining elements of the array. So already you have the first element stored in max. So don't compare again with the first element. Start from the second element of the array onwards. So for that, I'm going to write I is equal to 1. Okay, even if you write I is equal to 0 here, that is correct. But it is not an efficient way of writing the program because already the first element is available in max. Okay, so start your loop from second element, that is I is equal to 1. Proceed till I is less than num I plus plus. Now what I have to do in this current element, I have to take. The current element is nothing but ptr plus I will give you the address of the ith element. Write a star before that, that is value of the ith element. Now you check whether this current ith element is greater than max. If the current ith element is greater than max, in the max variable, you have to change this. Because max variable will keep track of the final maximum answer. Previously, we started with the first element as a maximum number, but now the next element is the maximum. So you update that in the max variable. So for that, I'll get star ptr plus I. I'll store it in the variable max. Repeat this for all the elements in your for loop. When you come outside your for loop, your answer will be available in the variable max. So you can display the answer to the user. Okay, so now when I display the answer, I will, according to this diagram, I'll get the answer as 99 because 99 is the largest number. So now you can see the answer here. In the answer, if you simply give %f, can anyone tell me what will be printed in the printf state? Yeah, you will get 99 with the 6 decimal points. Okay, so here now we want to do formatting. Formatting is nothing but we want to control how the user sees the output. I want to display only 2 decimal points. So for that I am writing %.2f. When I write 0.2, it will specify that after the decimal point I will have only 2 values, 2 digits after the decimal point. So because of that only I am getting 99.00. Okay, so now when you run this program, final answer will be printed. Now since you have used dynamic memory allocation, before you close your program, you have finished everything. So release the memory you have allocated. The memory we have allocated is available in the variable ptr. That is the starting address is available in the variable ptr. So that we are giving to the function free. This will deallocate the memory so that it will be returned to the garbage area.